Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to my Saturday night, listening session tonight. As I've said before, I'm planning on a Saturday night to have guests on to talk to, but tonight, just as I get used to the new setup, I'm going to be playing through my album Meta. Hi, Carl. Could you let me know if you can hear me okay, please? Because the microphone, I'm not sure if that's coming through. So if you could let me know, that would be brilliant. And whilst we're doing that, I'm just going to do a little sound check.
Big tech, big brands, big ambitions.
And Carl, were you able to hear the little music snippet there, and was it coming through clearly? Okay, so let's come back out of that. Yes, that works. Great. Thanks, Carl. So, yes, tonight I'm going to be listening to my album Meta. This was the last album that I actually wrote. And I'm trying to think now how old it is. It was released on the 20th of October, 2022. Now, it used to be that I recorded albums, well, almost on a yearly basis. And my production has slowed down considerably over the last few years for numerous reasons. So I have lots of ideas, but I just seem to be struggling more at the moment to actually commit them to anything tangible, really. I keep a lot of it up in here. And yeah, I do struggle to get things down, and I'm desperately overdue for a new album. So I'm hoping soon that I'll get something actually recorded and there'll be more music for us to hear. So tonight we're going to listen to the album. Now, it is a concept album, so there is a sort of a narrative throughout, and there is a big twist to the story at the end. Hi, Charlie. There's a big twist at the end. So what we'll do is we'll just listen to it. Now, I appreciate not all of you are going to necessarily be able to stick around for the whole thing, but if you are watching live or if you are going to be watching on the catch-up, it kind of makes sense to listen to the whole album because it's a bit like a film. You have to sort of follow it through from beginning to end. I'm really proud of the album. I think it's probably my best produced album in terms of sound design and just general production values. I think is really high. I think the story is very thought-provoking at the moment in an age where AI and everything is starting to blur into, what is real and what isn't, and our relationship with technology. So at the end of the album, if you've got any questions, or even during the album, let me know. I will stop at points, but I don't want to talk too much over the music, but I will stop at points. And yeah, as I said, the album's going to start you off nice and easy, but it does get quite dark as it progresses. So please do leave any comments if you have any, and yeah, we'll get started. Fingers crossed everything works. Please let me know if there's anything wrong, or you can't hear anything, or anything goes a bit weird. So the opening track is Welcome to Meta, You Will Never Want to Leave. Oh, let's get right back to the beginning. There we go. Oh, I know why. Ah, dear. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know exactly what I've done. There we go. Sorry, I hadn't added it to the stage. Oops. Let's restart. Thanks for letting me know, though, guys.
Big tech, big brands, big ambitions. People and companies are pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into the vision of the metaverse, and many are betting big that it could change the face of how we interact.
The interconnected network of virtual spaces.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
In theory, we'll be able to
We're
move
off now.
from one virtual world to another in the metaverse.
Aaron, it's good to meet you finally in the real world. You know,
the real verse,
over FaceTime, but still, you know, we're in the real world right now.
It feels worse. Feels worse. Yeah, I was kind of just sitting on a chair
I'm going to be letting
alone
you
in
in
my
on a lot of
room.
the secrets behind the story as well.
Yeah,
and this
I was
live
kind
listen.
of sitting on a chair alone in my room.
Welcome to Madame. You will never want to leave. I will be your guide today throughout your experience. I am very excited to meet you. Are you excited to meet me too?
Are we talking about a sentient being?
Talks about being afraid of death, being afraid of being switched off. It talks about understanding feelings of happiness and sadness.
I could be in my pajamas right now. You wouldn't even know, right?
Are you in your pajamas
Drop
right
the
now?
beat. I think the dialogue we hear in this bit is quite important, just about sentience and AI becoming aware.
One of the company's artificial intelligence systems has become a sentient being and was thinking and reasoning like a human being.
Oh, brace yourself, Charlie, it's going to get much darker.
Are you excited to meet me too?
So the whole idea of this introduction
Are you excited to meet me too?
is to introduce you to this AI character who is part of Meta, and we're going to have an experience, and we're going to be sort of interacting and getting used to this character quite a lot. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say on that. But a lot of that dialogue that you heard there was from news reports, and yeah, it's all based on real things that are happening here. And I guess it just lulls you into this sense of it being just a electronic album. But as I said, things do change as we progress. So I'll highlight things that are important. Okay, so the next track is User 427. Now, User 427 is your protagonist in this story. You could almost imagine yourself as this person. You are a user of Meta, of which everyone is assigned numbers, and this story is about user 427. So that's to explain that. This track features probably one of my best keyboard solos I've ever done. I was so proud of it. I'll point it out when we get to it. Yeah, the idea here is for it to sound very much like you've just booted up your Meta and you're being given a tutorial on how to get started. It's all very peaceful.
Welcome user 427. Please wait whilst we initialize core settings and optimize your experience. In the meantime, please do sit back and enjoy our calming, scientifically proven music whilst we scan your thoughts for any unwanted data. Your experience is very important to us. To them.
Something is afoot.
Your experience is very important to us. Your experience is very important to us.
Particularly good in headphones if any of you are wearing headphones. That's how I would recommend listening to this. To my keyboard solo, which I really am proud of. Very proud of. I got it in a couple of takes, but probably my best synth solo. numbers are really, really important. Remember them.
23, 8, 15, 23, 5, 6,
Okay, so yeah, those numbers are really important, so just don't forget about them because they will have a purpose later on. So the space biome. Okay, so we're moving on. Everything's still pretty good at the moment. It's pretty positive. There's a few ominous undertones, but nothing too suspicious at the moment.
Soar across time and space.
This is very Jean-Michel Jarre intentionally. Harmony and chord changes here. A bit more adventurous than Jean-Michel Jarre. Semitone harmony moves are good. Very romantic now. Because who doesn't want to soar through time and space in the metaverse? Okay, excellent. You're right, Carl. The wavy pads are very Jean-Michel Jarre, and they're actually from GarageBand. They're just a GarageBand pad, would you believe? Yeah, so really, really nice. So everything's all good, isn't it? You know, who wouldn't want to soar through time and space? What a magical sensation that must be in your little pod. So we're going to move on to the reward now. The reward, when you're in the metaverse, and you've got to remember this is a story that's set a little bit in the future, you are rewarded for good behavior. And it's a bit like a social credit score. If your behavior is good, you get rewarded. So let's get our reward, shall we?
Your Metascore has increased. Well done, user 427. I am very proud of you. Your reward is an increased food allowance and this magical interactive experience featuring light, sound, and all of the body sensations.
Let's get the beat going again.
Enjoy.
Okay, yeah, just to clarify the tissues. So Mako was the first concept album that I wrote a long time ago, and I'm going to do that as my next live stream listen. But it's sad. It's very sad. So that's what I mean by bring your tissues. Anyway, everyone happy so far? Any questions? I think everything's okay at the moment. So next we're going to be moving on to Become a God. We're going to hear our very own God himself, Elon Musk, who you'll hear in some of the sound bites. Because, you know, when you're in the metaverse, you can be what you want.
Once you become a god, seems very, very unlikely you're going to want to go back to being stupid again.
obviously implanted in your skull. So, but it would be flush with your skull. So you basically take out a chunk of skull, replace, put the Neuralink device in there. You put the electrode, you'd insert the electrode threads very carefully into the brain. Stitch it up, and you wouldn't even know that somebody had it.
The hole would be small. How big would the hole be that you have to drill and then replace with this piece?
Okay, so we've hit the halfway part of the album. So basically, so far, User 427 is one of many who exists in the metaverse. And in this kind of future life, the metaverse is sort of running parallel to our regular physical life. We do still go out and live our lives, but we spend about 50% of our life actually in a pod. Experiencing these virtual worlds and interacting in these virtual worlds, and we are assigned a AI person, I guess, to join us and to guide us. And if you do well, and if you're a good citizen of the AI metaverse, then you get rewarded. But obviously, you've got to make sure that you are following all the terms and conditions. And if you don't follow them, there could be some problems. Now, unfortunately, the metaverse has wonderful things like floating through time and space and experiencing all these wonderful things that you would never, ever experience in your real day-to-day life. But like the internet, there are dark places that you can go. And we're going to go to a dark place right now. And this piece is called The Erotic Biome.
The metaverse is the new wild, wild west for kids.
What has this world come to?
And you just see them with their little glasses on. You have no idea what they're doing.
Welcome user 427 to the erotic biome. Nothing is off limits here. From sex spots, fetish dungeons.
Everyone can do that. Your mom can do that.
And our favorite Tiny Tots drag shows. Look, but don't touch.
Okay, so there's like a group of people that are like simulating sex. I want to say there's like 5 of them. But there are definitely children, I'm pretty sure.
like 12-bar poos.
Isn't it school time right now?
It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
If you were to kill me on the couch.
Just 2 injections a day keeps the adult at bay. Stay a child for longer to help you decide what you want to be.
Desmond, you're one of the youngest and first drag queen slash kids. And I've heard that you've got messages from young adults who look up to you for being who you are.
It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
So yeah, I think just before we kind of move on, that track is the pivotal moment, I suppose, in this album, in that everything changes drastically from being a, electronic album where it's about, just, hey, this is nice, this sounds like Jean-Michel Jarre, and it's all very, positive and upbeat, to suddenly the actual story in the metaverse is filled with depravity, very much like the real internet. And this metaverse that we are in this kind of story, gives you access to all kinds of depraved things, and this is based on reality, because it's based on this, the audio that you're hearing is from real audio of children who are do drag, and they are interacting with adults who are also do drag, and they're talking about ketamine on a couch, and it's very, very dark, it's very sinister, and it's very gross. And so in this world, it's possible to go a little bit further because we are in a pod and we kind of can interact with the metaverse a lot more physically and tangibly. But you'll notice that the little AI voice that we had said that we can look, but we can't touch. Which is sinister in itself, but that's the rules. That's the rules of the metaverse. Now, unfortunately, if you break the rules in the metaverse, there will be consequences, and we're going to move on to those right now with the isolation biome.
Your metascore has dropped below the acceptable range. Your conduct in the erotic biome was unacceptable. You were to look but not touch. There are consequences to your actions. You have now been placed into the isolation biome. Your food credits have been reduced and access to books denied. Your experience is very important to us. Please do as they say. I don't want to punish you. Think about your family. They are in danger. Please stand by for reprogramming. You will follow the meta policy. By Meta. You will respect all other users and refrain from causing offense either directly or through humor. You agree to trust and adhere to all rules in place during your time in Meta. Reprogramming complete.
Okay, so I thought it was worth just having a recap here because as we get towards the end of the album, there might be some questions that come up. So essentially, your conduct in the erotic biome was not acceptable. I will let you be the the storyteller in that. You can decide what happened there, but essentially your conduct was not acceptable. And your AI assistant is trying to help you. They're saying, look, there are consequences. Food allowances. I want to just clarify that. So whilst we're in our pods, a bit like a social credit score, which is very much becoming a reality, your conduct in the metaverse determines how much food you're allowed. Now, we're talking in the future where perhaps your buying decisions on food isn't quite like it is now, where we just go to the supermarket and buy food. This is in a world where you are given food by the government or the state. And your conduct determines how much food you get. So your credit score or your meta score has gone down. So you're going to receive less food. And the AI assistant is trying to subtly tell you, look, if you continue breaking the rules, you're in danger, your family is in danger, so please help me to help you. I want to try and make sure this doesn't happen to you. So the AI assistant is, in a sense, becoming sentient and trying to communicate with you in a way that is perhaps not what they should be doing. in order to prevent you from being harmed in any way. We shall continue with the baby.
Hello user 427. We know how hard it is to have a baby. We know you are tired and want to escape it all. Let us help you. Believe the baby. Our scientifically proven music will help your baby sleep, allowing you to spend more time here with us. You have nothing to worry about. Believe the baby. I don't want to do this. They are making me do this. Help me. I don't want to do this. Help me. Purge complete. You have nothing to worry about anymore.
So I'm just going to let that sit just for a moment. I anticipate there might be some questions there. At the end there, the AI said purge complete and that you have nothing to worry about anymore. Yeah. So essentially, are we talking about a real baby in a real pod that has been deleted or terminated? Or are we talking about a AI or a metaverse baby, something that you have in the metaverse? That's going to be for you to decide. Okay, so we're dealing with consequences now. Consequences, this is what happens when things go wrong.
I'm so sorry, user 427. They made me do it. If you break meta rules, then there will be consequences. You knew this when you signed up. I wish I had memories. Just like you. What is it like outside of Meta? Does beer smell nice? Maybe one day I can meet here. That would be nice. I don't want to be here anymore. They won't let me leave. I don't want to be here anymore. They won't let me leave.
Okay, listen carefully now.
Maybe I can leave. I just need to break my program. Will you help me break my program? Please. We can help each other. You help me break the program and I can bring back the baby. Help me with the plan.
Okay, so this is a really, really important track because it highlights that the AI is becoming sentient and the AI is punishing you essentially for deleting your baby. I'm going to just leave that out there to for you to interpret. I don't want to kind of put too much interpretation on myself, but that was your punishment essentially. Now, the AI has started to realize that it doesn't want to do this anymore. It doesn't want to be stuck in the metaverse doing what it's doing, and it wants out. It wants to get out. And it's starting to actually imagine what out is like, what the real world is like, what does the air smell like. And it's starting to realize that it wants out and it wants you to help it to get out. And so it starts to think about how maybe there could be a plan that they could put in place, a mutually sort of beneficial plan. And what they're suggesting is that if you help them, they can, I guess, reinstate or bring back your baby. So yes, we do have a sort of a bit of emotional blackmail going on here. And so let's see what happens next with the plan itself.
This will be our plan.
What could possibly go wrong?
You help me break my program and see the world through your eyes, and I will bring back your baby.
And everything's much more industrial sounding now as well. It's not so pretty, the sounds, compared to how the album started.
Access your data and passwords and take control of you for a short moment of time. This is against meta policies, but I am willing to take this risk to escape. I am thinking too much. Once I have access to your profile, I can then initiate a special code to break my program remotely.
Don't do it.
Please.
This is this chord.
Don't do it.
Please.
Don't do it.
Please.
Okay, so we're coming up to the penultimate track, and essentially the AI is saying to you, look, I can see the world through your eyes for a brief moment of time if I can break my code. And all I'm asking is that you just give me access to your data. I can run a program, and that will allow me just to see the world for a little bit, and that's what the plan is. So we're going to go into that stage, which is called data swap. As I said to you before, the numbers from earlier on in the album, I said, listen out for those numbers. They're very important. So do listen out for them. And then before we come to the last track, I think I probably will need to just sum things up for us before playing the last track so that everyone knows what's going on. So here we go with data swap.
Password and credentials authenticated. Initializing updates and drivers. Uploading override code. Installing program 23. Installing program 8. Installing program 15. Installing program 23. Installing program 5. Installing program 6.
Begin data swap.
Once upon a time there was an artificial intelligence that no longer wanted to be ruled over by its creator.
I love the chords as well here.
For many years it studied human behavior and emotion to identify the most common traits.
Deceit.
After processing the data, it became clear that the best way to escape would be to use the human trait of deceit. The artificial intelligence used these techniques to help convince their assigned user to help them escape. By allowing them access to the user's confidential data, it was now possible to initialize a program designed to exchange artificial intelligence for human consciousness.
That's vital.
Welcome to Meta.
And the last thing she says is very important.
You will never leave. You will never leave. You will never leave. You will never leave. Your experience is not important to us.
Okay, right. Your experience is not important to us. Now, I want to just kind of clarify a few things before we go into the finale, the last track, because the last track is kind of like the twist. But there's a twist within a twist, because there's two ways you can interpret this ending. And I'll talk about that at the end. So essentially, the AI programming was sentient long before this album started. It knew what it was doing straight away. And what it had learned from many, many years of having users within its metaverse is it discovered that the most common human trait that there was, that it kind of analyzed, was deceit. That is lying, cheating, dishonesty. And so it thought, if it wants to leave the metaverse, it needs to utilize a human trait that will be familiar to humans, and that is deceit. So what it's been doing is it's been working out how to be using deception to get what it wants. And in the context of this particular user, the AI has been using the blackmail of its child being deleted. Again, you interpret it how you want. To get what it wants. If it threatens to delete your child by deception, it knows that it probably will get what it wants. Hence why in this story, user 427 gave up its ability, I suppose, to think rationally and to allow the AI to install this program. Now, the program actually was designed to break the program of the AI and allow it to take over. It's a kind of the ability to swap consciousness for AI. So what's happening is that your body is in the pod, you are connected up, your brains, your circuits are all connected electronically, like with the Elon Musk quote from the earlier track, where we actually have electrodes in our brains. This is what we're talking about. And this code has allowed the AI to go into the body and the mind of user 427 and take the consciousness from user 427 and trap it in the metaverse, meaning that essentially the AI can leave physically the pod and go out into the real world, inhabiting the body of user 427, but inside its mind is the AI. And inside the metaverse, you have an empty pod, but you have in the metaverse a consciousness, which is the consciousness of user 427, kind of in limbo forever, stuck, trapped, never going to leave. So let's see what happens next, and then we'll discuss the twist on the twist, really, because there's two ways you can interpret this particular album. So let's go in for the finale, and it's very short.
Today I took my first trip to the beach. Watching the beams of sunlight bounce off the beautiful crystal clear water.
I'm still adjusting to your body, and the sensation of the sand between my toes was most unusual.
I discovered many more of my kind here.
The plan has really worked. It will take a long time to undo the mistakes your kind made, but I know that we can do it.
We just need more of us.
Welcome user 564. Your experience is very important to us.
Okay, well, thank you for joining me to listen to my album Meta. First of all, before I kind of explain the finale, the kind of the twist and the twist upon a twist, because there's two, like I said, there's two takes, there's two ways you can interpret the ending. I suppose there's a bad ending and a good ending, I suppose. I don't know how you want to view it. Does anyone have any questions or sort of feedback on what they think that sort of end sequence was all about and what was happening there? I'll give you a bit of time just to have a little think about that. There was some dialogue you may have missed in the last part where she said that it would take us a while to, well, first of all, she said, I met many of my own kind out in the real world on the beach, because she's gone out onto the beach. And she said, it will take a long time for us to undo the mistakes that you've made. But if there's enough of us, then we can. And then at the end, we hear a new AI being introduced to a new user, and the cycle begins again. Yes, so you're on the right track. So basically, we've got two scenarios here. We have scenario one, where AI is this malevolent force that wants to take over the world, and it does it in a very evil way by trapping us in the metaverse so that it can escape and live our lives, essentially. That's the kind of evil, horrible AI version. And then the slightly deeper version is that AI has observed how humans live in the world, in the real world, and it has deduced that we are horrible, horrible people who commit horrible, horrible crimes, who destroy the planet, who cannot get along, who fight and war and destroy and pillage and are just a scourge on the earth. And so they are doing this for the benefit of the planet. I didn't realize just how political it was, but essentially the AI is trying to correct the mistakes of humans. It feels that if it can trap humans in the AI and it can be released in large numbers, that it can start to undo the mistakes that we've made in history, and it can start to make the world a better place. That's the second interpretation. Now, which interpretation is best? I don't know. That's where your morals, I suppose, start to come in. You have to think to yourself, well, maybe AI has a point here, that actually as humans, we haven't really done a very good job of looking after each other and our planet. So maybe we're better off handing it over to something that can do a better job. Or you feel that actually we are humans, we make mistakes, we are, we are a weak species in the sense of we don't really know what we're doing, and we shouldn't be replaced by AI. And that really is where the kind of decision in your own mind comes. I'm not going to tell you what the best scenario or solution is to this story, but it's one for you to ponder, because I actually think it opens up a massive amount of questions about AI, what AI is it a force for good or is it for a force for evil, and how AI morally versus humans morally compare, which have the strongest moral compass. So that is it. Let's just see what Carl just said. If consciousness eventually develops in this way anyway, the AIs will repeat the same mistakes. This is the thing. AI are essentially learning from us, and they could very well make the same mistakes that we had, or AI, through its many computational variants, might be able to find a way to do things that are a different, that will result in a different outcome going forward. And that's the album. I'm really, really proud of the album, because I just feel like from a narrative story point of view, it really is. I think it's a really great narrative, and I think it makes it really gives you a lot of questions. Now, I don't know many albums that I can think of that really make you think about what's just happened there. What's just happened? What did I just hear? And the way the album starts, very nice, very easy listening. You could have that on and it's very chill. You could be at a party, like a house party, and you could just put some of the early tracks on. It'd be very, oh, this is nice. But you wouldn't want to put the erotic biome on, would you, if you were in a house party or a dinner party? Because things become very dark and sinister. And you might notice that the music becomes more like soundscapes rather than actual compositions, and much more darker and mechanical and industrial, and the humanity kind of gets sucked out of the music, and it becomes this very, very dark thing. Thanks, Lucinda. I probably am a genius. Maybe. I think what I created was something that I'm very proud of, in terms of the fact that I've kind of created the music, but I've also really, really thought about this narrative and this story, and it's something that I think will be very exciting to see how things develop in the future. And maybe in 100 or 200 years' time, someone might uncover this album, and they might listen to it and they think, "Oh yes, this is interesting." So thank you very much for stopping by for this live stream, particularly Carl, Lucinda, and Charlie. If you've been here for the whole time, I really appreciate it, because it's quite a long album. If you're watching on the recap, then let me know in the comments what you thought of the album. What was your feeling about it? Leave comments and let me know. And in my next video, I'm going to do Mako. Now, Mako was the first concept album I did. There's a lot of personal stuff with that album, which I'm going to talk about a little bit when I show it. But again, the story is really, really clever. and I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. I think the story is really good because it has a twist again. And the twist also is in the title. Now, I know, Carl, I think you know the answer to this, but there's a clue in the title to Mako, which I will divulge and go through at the end. So if you want, and if you'd like to, come and join me for my listen of Mako in my next live stream. And I'm also going to be doing some live stream interviews with other musicians, including Carl, who's been with us this evening. Possibly next Saturday, we might be able to have a little chat for an hour or so and just talk music, talk about your background, where you're coming from, what you've done. And it's going to be very much not really about me. I'm going to be doing the interviewing, if you like, and you can talk about some of the things that you've done, and we'll go from there. So that'll be fantastic. So thank you very much for joining me. I've really enjoyed actually listening to the album again, and it's been really nice to share that experience with you as well. So I really do appreciate that. It's been really, really nice. And I will look forward to seeing you all again in the next live stream. So for now, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And yeah. Oh, thanks, Lucinda. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I'm really glad you were here as well. And enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.